Son of a bitch. Ah.
Hello to all you patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 448 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the number one live podcast in Canada, recorded April 29th on a Tuesday for once in a very long time, 2025.
We need your help to support the Canadian Patriot Podcast. Visit patreon.com/CPP. Become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 per episode. Show you're not a communist. Buy a CPP t-shirt for just $24.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com homepage. Follow the link on the right.
That brings us to our favorite segment of the show, and a much needed segment after yesterday.
Yes.
What are we drinking? And something that you've done off the Patriot Challenge, because we may or may not need to improve our fighting position over the next 4 years.
Yes.
Ian,
Yeah,
what are you
well,
drinking?
in honor of our new overlord's triple citizenship, I thought I'd break out some Beefeater dry gin and some tonic water. And I just thought I'd say cheers to the new Taskmaster.
Well, there you go. But shouldn't that
Uh,
be in like a Tsingtao or
yeah, well, I didn't have time to gather up something Asian to put it in, so I just had a clear glass. But I mean, maybe next
yeah.
time. But
Yeah.
as far as Patriot Challenge goes, well, I'm always got my water on me. That's good. But while I was in Japan last week, I did 3,333 steps up. I think it was 850 meters of vertical, and just a little over an hour and a half. And yeah, so I did tons of cardio, tons of steps. Yeah, it was a lot of hiking for a vacation. It actually kind of sucked, but yeah. So anyways, I did lots of physical exercise, and
Yeah, that the picture of that staircase was insane.
Yeah. I was
and
happy I was not there.
every time I found new sets of stairs, I was like getting angry and angry. But luckily, all the stair markers were in ancient Japanese, so I couldn't really tell what step I was at until I was at the top. So
Wow.
thank goodness.
All that time in San Francisco though should help you because it's the same. It's just instead of steps, it's roads. Yeah.
Well, I would think so, but the problem is that they have a different word for everything over there. It's really weird. It's the strangest
It's
thing,
like it's
and
like a whole other language. Yeah.
it's like a whole. And it's very hard to get my reading in for the week when everything's in characters. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and weird emojis next on the Weather Network from that picture.
yeah, and usually a lot of anime and everything else thrown in. So Pierre, what'd you do?
Um, Drinking my water. I was out of town last week. Um, so lots of just annoyingness. Stayed in the hotel, traveling. Memo to self: when you switch your truck bag to your airport bag, double check all the pockets and make sure you don't have your knife in there.
Yep.
So that was a mistake. And yeah, I actually left on Easter. So like Easter Sunday, I'm at the airport and they're just like, anything sharp in here? I was like, there shouldn't be. And she starts looking or whatever, and I was like, oh, there's another pocket. I was like, flip here, and then I was like, there's a pocket there. I was like, I have a feeling I forgot to take something out when I took this out of the truck. And she takes out a fucking knife, and I was just like, ah. And she's like, I'm like, just get rid of it. I was like, there's no sentimental value. I was like, it was cheap. It's just something to have. Yeah, I did that. Lots of traveling, making sure, lock the hotel, don't do stupid shit out of town, don't go to shady places, the usual.
Yeah.
And yeah,
So
drink.
yeah, don't
Yeah.
don't do anything fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we still had fun. I went down with my boss, which is actually a buddy of mine that just got a promotion. So yeah, I went to some
Nice.
good places, had some good smoked ribs, brisket, sausages. I think we ended up going there twice and this, that, and everything. So yeah, it was a good time. Yeah, stayed safe, drinking the waters, and yeah, still trying not to be a degen and stop listening to the radio and doing podcasts. And I'm starting to get back on the audiobooks train, so trying to find some good
Nice.
books. So yeah, that's about it. What about you, Gavin?
I am drinking some Crown Royal whiskey A colas this evening. They're very cinnamony.
I'm
I'm
not
not
a
like,
fan.
I mean, I'm not disliking it. It just they taste very cinnamony to me.
So are they
I,
actually started selling the highballs in Ontario liquor stores, or is that a Quebec thing?
I don't know. This one was out of the Petro Canada gas station at the end of my street.
Nice.
Yeah, welcome
Yeah.
to Ontario now, where we can buy alcohol at the gas station. The one
Well,
good
yeah.
thing that Ford has done.
For now.
Broken clock and all that.
Yeah, well, fuck him and his endorsing of Chrystia Freeland. But yeah, Patriot Challenge stuff. Yeah, doing the water. Yesterday I went and did a whole lot of walking. I knocked 156 doors yesterday in my riding, trying to get every last single vote out. But a lot of good that did me.
Yeah.
It did work at the polling station that I was canvassing at earlier in the day because my candidate of choice did win at that polling station and several others. Unfortunately, it was not enough to defeat the boomers and the net tax recipients. They were out in force.
Fuck.
And unfortunately, yeah, my guy did not get elected. So yes, Chris, it is all my fault. And I'm sorry. Next time I will knock more doors, put up more signs, and be far more annoying than I have been on social media for those of you that do follow me.
I deleted all my socialist medias.
I have been triggering a bunch of people with my posts, so it's been kind of enjoyable. But yeah, so
That's
that's
the internet's for, though, right?
yeah,
Yeah, 100%.
that and cat videos. Yeah,
No. Well, on that note, I guess we'd love to hear your feedback about the show.
yeah.
Social media. So please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. A version of the show is available on iTunes.
The Varista Laker Remote Military March was also this past weekend. I did not participate, although we are hoping to have a redo in the near future because we were all busy doing the things. So I was also, you remember last year how we were talking about that military training exercise that happened across the province? Yeah, I was part of it this year.
Mm.
Oh, yeah?
Search and
Nice.
rescue group got contacted. So we participated and all that fun stuff. We were teaching the Army how to search and rescue. They showed up
Nice.
2 hours late to their own event and then canceled the next day. So that was good. You know,
Nice.
they apparently didn't get in until late in the evening. So that's why they were delayed because they slept in and then had breakfast and all of that. So, you know, good disaster preparedness training to
Yeah.
show up late and whatnot.
I was
saw the
about to
note for-
ask, like, oh. Go ahead, Ian.
Oh, I was going to say, I saw the note for Strava there, which reminds me of a funny story. When I was doing the 3,333 steps,
Yeah.
I was about what I guessed to be halfway up. The wife looks at me and goes, "Hey, what does a Strava show for an elevation climb?" I'm like, "I forgot to start it." And there was no point now, right? I was like halfway up. I was like, "Oh, what a waste." But
Yeah.
Yeah.
because
And you weren't going back down to restart and hit the app.
no,
Fuck
there was
no.
just no way. Because I almost tumbled down as it was. But and the funny other thing is that when you got to the top of the mountain, you got this. You had to pay basically $1, and you got to ring the bell on the big shrine. Those are kind of their fundraiser, right?
Yeah.
And so I got my $1 in there. I rang the bell. And I was like, "Hey, I hope we got a good video." Well, nobody took a video either. So I was like, I like no evidence of this massive climb. I was like, oh, well, that's
May
Well,
as well have
we-
not even happened. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we saw a picture from the bottom.
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
think, you didn't even post a picture from when you got up there. He's just like driving by and he tells the taxi to stop and he took a picture
Yeah.
and he's like, I'm going to tell everybody I walked this.
Quick
Well.
picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I guess, yeah, the news, well, that's kind of why we're here. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a reason I'm wearing a black shirt. Well, so is Pierre by the looks of it. So
Yeah,
I'm always wearing a black shirt.
black shirt as well. So I wasn't allowed to wear a t-shirt of a certain color while I was at the polls because I was a scrutineer. But yeah, unfortunately, we did not get the results that we wanted, and we have another liberal minority government.
is it still a minority or has it gone to majority? Because I noticed they changed a couple seats there. I haven't looked at the latest Elections Canada results.
Well,
But,
let me-
Last I heard.
Let me
last
double
I saw
check
it was
because
still a minority.
I haven't checked since earlier in the day.
And they were still
Um,
checking mail-ins too, right?
Yeah, so as of right now, 75,424 polls have reported. of 75,479. So we still have another,
50.
50 or so polls to finish reporting. But I think they've pretty much finalized it because it doesn't look like anyone is leading in anything. Everyone's just showing as elected. So as of right now, 169 seats for the Liberals, 144 seats for the Conservatives, 22 for the Bloc, and 7 for the NDP, and the Greens getting their 1 seat as per SOP.
So
And
with
that's
the
it.
NDP and the Liberals, that's a majority still again, right?
Well, yeah. So if they take those 7 seats, that puts them over the hump of what is it, 172 or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
And I have been hearing some rumors that some of those NDPs might cross party lines and
Well, why
say
not?
we're red
We're
now,
liberal. Well,
which would then
why
push
not?
them into a majority, like an official majority.
Wasn't that dandy?
Which I don't know. Like it's one thing if you drop out of a party, but I don't think you should be allowed to switch parties
Yeah.
like
After.
midstream.
Well, this wouldn't even be midstream. This would be like fucking 2 weeks after.
Well, but I mean, it's
Like-
already been
like you're-
elected. Like,
Yeah, you were elected on that platform. You either go independent or
Yeah.
you stay with that platform is how I think it should be. But as we know, logic doesn't apply to
yeah,
elections and
because I mean, it would be one thing if we actually had a system where you voted for the local candidate and the local candidate did whatever the constituents wanted. And if the constituents were like, hey, no, we'd really love you to flip parties, and then they flipped parties, that would be great. But if they're
Yeah.
just like, well, our party lost official party status and we can all drive together in one minivan to the caucus meeting. Maybe
I'm going.
we flip to the other side. Like you shouldn't be able to do that. That should not
Well-
be allowed. Not without a vote or something.
Yeah, I
like,
think if you want to do that, you should either like basically resign, but immediately rerun again under like a by-election, and then under the new party banner,
yeah,
and then see if you can get elected that way. But it's just like when Leona Allsep, she crossed from the Liberals to the Conservatives.
yeah,
I still wouldn't trust her afterwards. I mean,
No.
Well, yeah.
her cabinet position. I mean, she's a turncoat, right? So,
yeah.
I mean,
I mean, it's hard because like sometimes we've had some decent things happen. I mean, on the American side, but like you look at like a Tulsi Gabbard that went from the Democrat to the Republican. It's like I'd call that a win, but she
Well,
was
she-
very middle of the road, anyways.
and she didn't do
Yeah.
it during an election cycle or just after.
Yes,
election cycle,
she-
right?
Yeah, she made a full commitment switch. Like,
Yeah.
I was this. I have reformed my ways, and now I'm this, and I'm run. It's not like
Yeah.
I got elected under this banner.
And yeah, now I'm telling you to go fuck yourself. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't see that much of a difference between NDP and liberals, but I
Yeah.
still don't agree with it that you ran on a
but
platform.
it makes a
and-
difference though for the
Yeah.
voting, sort of, and like some of the other
100%.
things because it's now officially becomes a majority as opposed to like the ridiculous,
Supply and confidence.
yeah, which they didn't really supply anything, and I certainly didn't have confidence in them. So.
No.
Yeah.
I was
And
just,
ultimately, I guess that sort of, well, I mean, he got his pension out of it, so like, congrats, I guess. But like, it didn't really help him out because, yeah, Jagmeet officially stepped down.
That's a shame.
Yeah,
did he step down prior to the election, right before, or
like that night, like right
As he-
around 11 o'clock or something.
is it because he
Ontario
didn't
time.
win his riding?
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't win. He's like, I'm the fuck out.
Well, it's
Yeah,
not even that
well.
he didn't win; it's that he didn't win, and his party got decimated.
Yeah.
Not that
Yes.
they had a massive like
I mean, no, they didn't have a massive
in
thing, but-
Parliament, but they are the ones that suffered the most losses. Although,
they
if
had-
you look at the percentage of votes and stuff like that, the 43.7% for the Liberals and 41.3% for the Conservatives. So, like, straight numbers, we're not far off.
No.
But
And then-
the NDP there, like they went from what 21 seats before down to 7,
Yeah.
so cut by 2/3. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, they did get.
So, I mean, the Liberals picked up the some of the block seats, I think, and some of the NDP seats, and that's what really kind of
Yeah.
fucked them. And yes, PP also lost his seat, so that'll
Yeah,
be
which I was
interesting to
surprised.
see.
I was
Well,
surprised.
Well, I found out the reason why. So I guess they rejigged the Carleton boundaries, and what it is they cut out an affluent area and they put in some new housing for new immigrants. And they had 400,000 new immigrants come into that area since the last election, basically. And so the demographics changed completely, and it went from a clear majority conservative riding to a toss-up slash leaning liberal riding to begin with. So there's a bit of a problem there. He should have picked a very safe riding, but I guess maybe there's a by-election in our
Well,
future there.
yeah, I guess from what I'm hearing from some people is that like there'll likely be a caucus meeting where they determine like, you know, is
Who
this
resigned, so he's in?
his fault? If so, then fuck you, we need a new leader. Or, you know, is it not his fault? And we're gonna put somebody else, or we're gonna oust somebody, and then he gets to
Yeah.
run somewhere else. Which I have a feeling. I mean, it all depends how you slice the pie, right? Like,
Yeah.
the percentage of the vote is record numbers that we haven't seen for the Conservative Party since like 88 or something. But we still didn't win, and he didn't win his riding. So how do you judge that? Like, is that a success or is that not a success?
And I'm actually honestly blown away by the block, how they did not do as well as they should have. I mean, they really just got a couple of rural ridings, in the periphery of Quebec, but I thought they for sure would have picked up something on the island of Montreal or something, but they seem to have. Well, I guess a couple days before they were kind of like almost like conceding to the Liberals, saying vote Liberal to stop the Conservatives or something. But it was the weirdest thing.
Well, yeah, and that was I mean, that shouldn't be allowed either, right? Like the way that they strategically, like with the Greens, dropped some seats and this and that so that they wouldn't split the vote. Like if stealing a lawn sign is considered, election interference, purposefully not running a candidate so you don't split the vote should absolutely be election interference.
Oh,
As we
100%.
know, the only people allowed to interfere with an election are the Chinese.
Well, that's because they pay big money for that.
Yeah. But yeah, there was also some other really fucky stuff like going on in um Pierre's riding, like all of the independents, right? Like if you looked at their ballot sheet, like most people have like
We had four.
yeah, most people have at least three. Some go up to five because it's like, okay, the Greens and then the PPC.
Yeah.
And then, sometimes you get the weird like Christian Heritage and some of those other weird, very regional
Yeah.
or the Bloc. But his riding had like a ridiculous number of independents.
Yeah, I think there was like, I didn't count, but like from the picture, I think I'd say easily what, like 20, 30
Yeah,
people.
like it was absolutely ridiculous. Like I'm looking at the thing right here, and so the top 10 for Carleton, so PP's riding, Bruce Fanjoy, he got 40, or well, let's just go percentages. So 50.83% of the vote. PP got 45.83. So basically, like a 6% difference.
Yeah.
NDP got 1.4, Greens got 0.65, whatever the hell UPC is, they got 0.13, and then like CFP, whatever that is, 0.08. But then there's like independents that got like 55, 45 votes, 40 votes, 38 vote. So if you started adding up like the handful of people that voted for all of those independents,
Yeah.
it maybe would have gotten a little bit closer, right?
The best
Yeah,
part was
well,
that some of those
absolutely.
independents actually got 0 votes, so they didn't even vote for themselves.
Yeah. Well, and so that was the funny thing. So when I was doing the scrutinizing, and we're actually looking at counting ballots and stuff like that, there's a folder for every person that is on the ballot, whether there's a vote or not. So normally when you go into your polling station, they will have multiple tables set up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then depending on your name or what street you live on, you go visit this box or that one or that one or that one, right?
Yeah.
each one of those stations has to have an envelope for the votes that are cast for that person. There are no ballots, there's nothing in the envelope, but they still have to like officially seal the envelope and sign it and do all of the official things to it, even though that
Yeah.
nobody cast a vote for that person. Which,
Well,
yeah, looking at the tables when I was there, it was pretty obvious that it was a two-party race
Yeah.
because there were almost no NDP, and some tables only had two piles of ballots.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's just I don't know.
I wonder
I
if
had a
Max will.
little bit of faith.
I wonder if Max will stay in Florida now. Maybe for next, next election, he'll decide he won't come up.
well, and so that's the other thing is the whole Bernier splitting the vote,
PPC. Yeah.
and I don't know. Our intern, Better Andrew, was looking at some stuff, and I know you were too, Ian. And it looks like there was at least two ridings
That
without
could.
getting like super autiste about it. That if you'd taken the PPC votes and put them all to conservative, it would have made up that difference because there were a few ridings that were very close.
Yeah, like some of them were like a couple hundred votes apart. Some of them were like double digits apart. But
Yeah.
it could also work the other way though too. Like because there's NDP and Green votes that could have gone to the Liberals and also changed it up. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't agree with the two-party system of the states, but also it does simplify things a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
especially if you get like the Rhinoceros Party and we have the Aboriginal People's Party was running in my riding and all this other stuff. I'm like, come on now.
Well, yeah, some of it gets a little like, yeah, I don't necessarily want like just a red or a blue or a left or a right or a this or a that or whatever you want to call it. But I also don't want like
90
a,
people.
well, but yeah, like so if you like
Yeah.
there really shouldn't be any barriers to run, but also there should be barriers to run, right? Like just like
Well,
voting, like everyone should be able to vote, except that some people shouldn't be allowed to at all.
yeah, it's like I like malicious compliance like as much as the next guy, but sometimes this malicious compliance does not come in handy when it comes to like elections and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
And that was the problem. Like a lot of people were running as independents because it doesn't cost them really anything to put their name on the ballot. They go, they do the paperwork, they get the required numbers of signatures and all of that, and they're now all of a sudden they're an independent candidate, and then that's it. They don't have to do anything else. There's no obligation for them to campaign or do anything. They've got their name on the ballot, and they're doing that as a protest for whatever reason. But then that
Yeah.
screws things up. Like, so again, like, is that election interference or is it not? Like, it's very strange how we decide what is and is not election interference.
yeah, especially like even Polymarket, I know, which can be
Yeah.
easily manipulated, but also was influenced by Chinese money.
Yeah.
And sounds like some cryptocurrency speculators that the Polymarket odds were affecting the 338 odds, which were affecting the Echoes polls and everything else, and so that it's easy to manipulate the entire mainstream media odds, I guess, display by injecting a little bit of cash here and there, which is, again, a new thing, right?
Yeah.
And we're not hip and cool to that, I guess, not like the liberals or the
Yeah.
conservatives.
And that's the thing that drives me crazy about this whole thing is that like we haven't even dealt with the election interference from the last election. And here
Yeah.
we are like watching it happen in real time. And like there are still people that are part of government now because a lot of people cut their seats that may have been part of the corruption from before, and we don't know. They're now potentially still in government and nothing has happened about this. And the people that do have their security clearance aren't doing anything about this, probably
No.
because those people are part of their party.
Yep.
But it's just it's insanity. Like, but
Absolutely.
I don't know. I do have massive amounts of respect though for the people at the polling stations because that has got to be the most ridiculous job ever. Like,
It caters to the autiste for sure because
Oh yeah.
we had a guy that was clearly on the spectrum dealing with our ballots, and he was loving it because it was very precise and methodical, and
Was he
everything
just like
else.
lining them up on the table? Like,
Oh
oh,
yeah, he was a grand old time, and like the ruler lines through the names were just fantastic, just
oh,
perpendicular and awesome, but very
Yeah.
dry work. And but the problem is
oh.
it's so easy to allow shenanigans if there's not somebody watching, right? So
Well,
it's
and
great.
so yeah, and so this has been my experience with the whole thing, and it surprised me. So I get that like you can't be in all places at all times, but it seems that the Conservative Party in my riding, at the very least, anyways, had enough volunteers and the strategy to go to the majority of the polling stations to get the data. So I did 3 of the 4 nights at the advanced polls, scrutineering, got to like seal the boxes and put my, signature on them and everything to make sure that nobody was sneaking ballots in the middle of the night and all that. And then I did it again, on election night at a different poll because they like to change the locations for some reason. And then I actually got to watch the count and all of that. And, there's, yeah, definitely some autistes at work there and doing all the things, but like those people were not allowed to leave the building.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So on the advanced polls at the end of the night, you seal the ballots, you seal the
Yeah.
boxes. Where
What
do the
happens to
boxes
the
go?
box? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the interesting thing. So the person, when you go to your table, right, there'll be 2 people there. Usually, like there's the person that's like the charge of this, and the other person is in charge of this. They're very specific duties for the 2 people. But there will be one person who is in charge of the box. That is their job. Like this box
The-
is their box. There are many like it, but this one is mine.
He's the box master.
Exactly. And so at the beginning, like in the morning, if you scrutineer, the box is there. It's your job to go and inspect the box. So if it's day one, you go and you look at the box and make sure that the box is empty so that no one has snuck ballots in. And then they're allowed to go and start doing their job. Then at the end of the evening, either the same person or a different person will come by and they place like a sticker over top. But it's one of those like if you peel it off, it just gets destroyed.
Yeah, like your MTO stickers in Ontario, like
Yeah.
those yellow,
Yeah,
yeah,
there's
or
like
the
there's a
ones on your
big
license
like
plate.
big
Yeah,
slice through it. So like if you start peeling it, the whole thing just falls apart.
yeah.
And so whoever is in charge of the poll has to sign that. And then there's space for 4 scrutineers to sign off on that as well. The person that is then in charge of that box takes that box home with them. Because you can't just leave it there, right? Because it's like a school gymnasium or like, wherever you are. So somebody might come in the middle of the night and steal the box or tamper with the box or whatever. So it goes home with the person, comes back the next morning, and then the person that is in charge of that location will go and inspect the seals and make sure that they're not there. And if there is a scrutineer around, they too will observe the opening of the seal, which I did one morning just because why not, right? And so that's how that works at the advanced polls. And then those all get sealed up at the end of the advanced polls and then sent off to wherever the advanced polls get counted because they get counted sort of all together. But then on election day, you don't need to seal the box because they're counting all the ballots. So at the end of the day, when all the voting is done and all the voters have left, they basically have to dump out all of the ballots onto the table. They need to show me the empty box, and then I get to watch them count. And if there are any votes that are, potentially spoiled, it goes to the guy that runs the polling station. He looks at it and kind of determines yay or nay on it. But then I get to also observe that and like agree. And if there were other scrutineers, we could all kind of like debate about it. And then, yeah, all the votes get tallied and then they all get organized by who voted for who. And there's a pile for each candidate. And then each of those piles goes into an envelope. And then that same seal that they put on the box goes on to the giant envelope and all the paperwork and everything else. And then they have to do like all their tally counts. So they need to go, okay, how many total votes did we get? Does that correspond to the number of people that we have like crossed off our sheet?
Yeah.
And does that number correspond to like how many empty ballots are left? So if they gave us 500 blank ballots and we use 300 of them, are there 200 blank ballots left? Yes or no? And so
Yeah.
they have to account for every ballot.
And they tear off a little receipt on the side of the ballot too, right?
Yeah. And then all of that gets recorded and everything else. So I would say that it's actually, despite the fact that it is very manual,
Still,
it's
that works.
difficult. Like, unless you had multiple people in on it, it would be difficult to falsify results.
Well, two things. I'm going to quote Stalin here because we are in a Marxist country now,
Mhm.
and so I just
Yes.
say it matters not who votes; it matters who counts the votes. But also,
Yes.
Yes.
interestingly enough, Dominion, the electronic voting machine, was used for the first time in BC, and look at that, we had our first very contentious election. It's amazing.
Yeah. So
So,
from what I heard,
I much
yeah, we
prefer
were a
the
few
manual.
yeah, we were a few weeks out. If they had declared the election like maybe a month later, we would have been using the machines like we did provincially.
Ugh.
They just weren't ready in time. And so the nice thing about that is it's fast, right? Like the Ontario
I don't-
election results, we had like within an hour of the polls closing, we're like, oh, okay, yeah, done.
But highly
I-
sus though when you can just do an
But-
algorithm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't trust it. I
But
would. I mean,
that's
I don't trust the paper ones. You think I'm going to trust the technology one? Like go to this
Well,
yeah,
computer and
but
enter
that's
it?
where like yeah, the person who's responsible for their box counts their box. So everything is like if
Mhm.
something gets investigated, it's all tracked back to that
Who?
person.
Yeah.
So it's very like accountable in that way, in that like, yeah, if you fuck something up, and like there were some
Yeah.
not at my poll, but at some of the others, there were some missing blank ballots. And that took like quite a while to figure out what happened, and like it's a big deal.
Yeah. Whereas the electronic, I think that there's a lot more chance for oversight, or less oversight, should I say. Fun
Yeah.
side story. The union I belong to switched from paper to electronic ballots, and the vote to decide to go to electronic ballots was an electronic ballot, which of course was overwhelmingly in favor of going electronic. And ever since then, we've had very suspect results every
Yeah.
freaking time. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Where I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm sure there's a way to make it safe. Just, I don't trust anybody in charge
Well,
of the
but-
government to
but-
oversight it.
But so that's the problem, is that like when it's all just a pile of pieces of paper and like you have people watching, like I was watching everyone, and oddly
Yep.
enough, like through all of this, I was the only party representative that was watching any of this.
Yeah.
No other party had a scrutineer at the advance polls or the actual election day, just me. So that was weird.
Because everybody just trusts how it is.
Well, but like, so there's data that you get. So at the advance polls, you get a sheet at the end of the day that doesn't have anyone's personal information on it, but it does have like a bunch of numbers. And so if you punch those numbers into the computer software, it removes that person's name from your list because they voted. So that's important data.
Mhm.
So the way that we were approaching this is that my riding went and we random door knocked for the first 2 weeks and hit 40,000 doors across the riding. And during that, you identify who your supporters are, right? Advanced polls come out, great. We're not going to randomly door knock anymore. We are going to go after the people that we know support us and encourage them to come out to vote. So you only target those people. So over the course of those 4 days, we door knocked all of the supporters in the riding. And then you have like a bit of a break there where you can't vote anymore because like the advance polls are closed, even special balloting is closed. So you guys get a bit of a break, but you're still out like trying to drum up support and make sure that people get out. But then as you get right up to election day, we do the same thing all over again. But every time we're trying to cross off all of those names of people that have already voted so that we're not wasting time knocking on their door saying,
Yeah, and
hey,
someone
we
saying I was
want you
there
to
a
come
week
out
ago.
and yeah.
Yeah,
So if you're not
been there, done that.
yeah, if you're not at the poll, you don't get the data. So you can't cross those names off the list. And then during election day, candidates are allowed to receive that information every hour. So you send a guy to that poll every hour to get the latest data so that you can cross that off your list. So, like I said, we did the whole riding over like 2.5 weeks, then did all of the supporters over 4 days during the advance polls. And then this weekend, Saturday, they did the entire riding. Sunday, they did the entire riding. And then Monday, they did the entire riding twice. And every time trying to take as many names off that list and just so that you keep hammering those people that haven't voted yet to be like, just can you please, like, if you want us to stop bothering you, for the love of God, can you please just go out and fucking vote?
Yeah.
Right? Like, because if you don't go and vote, I'm going to keep coming to your house and knocking on your door.
Yeah.
To the point where like people did complain while I was out there, like, you have already come by 4 fucking times. Like,
You still have not voted 4 times.
yeah. So if you're not there, you don't get the data. So same at the end of the day on election day, you don't, I mean, you get those sheets if you want them at the end of the day, but it's sort of too late. But I get to see the count sheets. And then I can report those count sheets to the campaign manager, who then gets all the people at the other polls tallying it all up. And then like, whether you've won the riding before it even gets reported.
Because
If you've
you've got the
managed to have
yeah, you've got the data from all the things saying, hey, we had 250,000 supporters and we would need 232,000
Yeah.
to win. And if you're above that number, you can kind of safely say that if they
Yeah.
all voted how they said they talked to you, you can probably safely say that we won.
Exactly.
It's kind of cool. I mean,
Yeah,
I have no interest in it, but it's cool.
so data driven, but that was the
Yeah.
surprising part. They
Yeah.
weren't like the Liberal Party, the NDP, I guess, like that makes sense because like, there's nobody that wants to
Yeah.
be part of that party. So like they just don't have the volunteers, but like it's just strange that I was the only person there getting the data.
It requires a certain level of agency too. Like, I mean, it's one thing to even show up and vote, which, as we can see, only 66% of people managed to do. But I mean,
Yeah.
or 67, whatever it was. But
Yeah, higher than normal, but still woefully low. Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, so to actually be a scrutineer and take the time, when it's
Yeah.
an unpaid position, to do that takes
Yeah.
a certain level, and a lot of people aren't just willing to do that yet. So, like, I
Yeah.
didn't even know you could do that without being some sort of Elections Canada employee. Like, I had no idea until this election. I just assumed they were all like somehow employed by contract.
Someone
or something.
vetted,
Yeah,
and
so
like
they're all the people that work for Elections Canada, but then the party gets to
assign.
decide who their scrutineers are going to be, but you still have to abide by all the rules.
Yeah.
Right? So like it's not like you could just show up and do whatever. It's like you need to show up in advance. Like you can't walk in after the door is locked. You have to get in before the door is locked. And there's paperwork. You have to like present yourself with a document that has been signed by your candidate or the head of the riding association or whatever, and be like, I am so and so. I have been appointed by my campaign manager as the scrutineer for this location. then you have to sign a declaration and do all that. But then yeah, there's rules like, you know, you can't have your phone taking pictures of stuff while the thing is open. You know, once the poll is closed and everyone is gone, then you can take pictures of those sheets and like text them to the campaign managers. They can start like, you know, especially at the advanced polls, like
Yeah.
the computer nerds were in the office there, just like frantically key all this data so that they
Yeah.
can create the canvassing lists for the next morning.
Yeah.
So, you know, polls close at 9, you get the results or whatever by like 9:30 kind of a thing. And then the nerds are keying all the data. And then we were out canvassing by 9 a.m. the next morning, right? So like there's a short window of time to get all that data in, create the next canvas for the next day, and away you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I agree with the problem. Nobody knocked on my door either.
Well, and
The entire
that's
campaign, prior, after. I mean, it was probably a shoe-in already. Like, I don't even know who won in my writing. Like, that's how disappointed I was the second I found out the libtards ended up with at least the minority. I was like, I didn't even look, but I mean, I should, but
Well, if somebody knocked on my door, I'd be surprised. Like, how do you get past the dog and the fence?
well,
Well,
so
my dogs would let me know, and I think they'd be way more fucking scared of my dogs barking
Yeah.
at them. But yeah, nobody came here. I live outside Ottawa, rural.
yeah, rural
I'm like,
ridings are harder, right? Because the distance
well,
between properties is
well,
vast.
not me. Like, I'm just in a small town, but there's a bunch of small
Yeah,
towns
yeah.
around, and then stuff in between. Like, like I can.
Yeah, it's not that they
If
can't, but it just becomes more difficult, and
yeah,
also
like,
likely that volunteer base is lower, and
yeah,
but they should still do it. I mean, I think
yeah, and I mean,
there was a party at the restaurant not far away from the office the evening of, just so we could watch the things and all have a beer after we worked, because I did like, it was like 165 or something doors like on Monday, like just me. But
see,
like,
but
yeah, but I think he said that overall throughout the entire campaign, we did 75,000 doors,
fuck, you're like a Jehovah Witness now.
right? Like, because there's math to it, right? Like, so for every, like, I think he said for every 16 targeted doors that you knock, you get a vote.
Yeah.
So, but then it's something like for random doors, it's like every 100 doors you knock, you get a vote. So that's why they're focusing it, right? Because there's the return on that investment is so much greater. But
That time, and yeah.
but
But I mean,
sometimes the boomers just outnumber you, and there's nothing you can do. Yeah.
not necessarily just boomers, but also people that are, I don't want to say dependent, but benefit from all the social
Yes.
programs we have. That
Yes. Net
we
tax
need,
recipients. Yeah.
yeah, we
Yeah.
need to cut to balance budgets and make
Yeah.
stuff affordable again. But a lot of people don't want to quit
Yeah.
getting big daddy government paychecks and go do the jobs. Like, there's job openings everywhere, but also the job openings are half retarded. Like,
Yeah.
looking
How
for
I end
something
up-
on the side and go to an interview and they say you're too overqualified for like anything. And it's just like, yeah, but I'm not asking for $40 an hour. I just, like, Mella's looking for something part-time. She's just like something to get out of the house,
Yeah.
10, 15, 20 hours a week, whatever. And at the local grocery store, you're overqualified to be a cashier. She's like, yeah, but I didn't ask for $60 an hour. I just want something to like get me out of the house, right? Like, she's doing stuff,
Yeah.
but she's just like, something different. And then we go into the store and they say, go use self-checkout. Be like, I'm overqualified for this. I got to get someone
Wow.
below me to scan my shit. But like just simple things, just to like, something for a change of pace. Go work there for a few months, and then just be like, I don't need it anymore because, of everything we have due to the settlement we got and all that stuff. But it's just like, yeah, she's just like, I kind of just want something. Just
Yeah.
let's
hard
make
though,
a bit of a
'cause-
routine.
Yeah, like I'm going through it right now. We're looking to bring in some people just even for temporary work, right?
Yeah,
And
and
I look at
sorry
the thing and I unless I'm desperate, I also don't bring in people that are overqualified because they're not going to stick around. They're going to move on to the thing that they're actually qualified for that will make them more money if and when that becomes available. So it's like, and I know that's not always the situation,
Mhm.
but I have to look at it from the business owner
Yeah,
perspective. And
yeah,
like,
you are making an investment, right? You're going to do the
yeah, and I
training and
like,
this and that and blah blah blah, right? Like there's a cost
yeah,
associated with that. But it's also like, are you going to
yeah,
take the guy that's ready to make, a
yeah.
chemist that wants to sort parts out for you because there's just no chemist
But
jobs,
yeah, but that, yeah,
right?
like
Like, and it's also
it's,
that deviation of just like, okay, yeah, but
yeah, yeah.
depending,
There's like, okay, you're like, you're overqualified, but it's not like you're a PhD or whatever. So like,
yeah,
okay, we can do this, but then sometimes it's like, yeah, there's no like you are gonna leave this job the instant you get anything better than this. So no, like
yeah,
I am not fucking
yeah,
doing this. But
and those are two different statements to say, right? Like,
yeah,
if you've got a good work atmosphere, um, you've got
yeah,
a company that stands on values, right? Everybody's got company values or whatever, but like people that actually stand by it, like,
yeah,
I would rather work for $2 less than what I make now, or $5
yeah.
less than what
But
I make
have
now, for
higher
that. And
job satisfaction
yeah,
and yeah,
and feel like you're part of something and not feel like you're a number, right? So it's
yeah,
like there's that deviation you could do for that
yeah,
too. But
yeah. But to just to get back to some things here that the problem is saying, um, some
you should look
people
at your
won't.
own benefits.
No, well, some people won't tell you when you knock on the door who they're voting for.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I had that happen a few times where people would say, thank you for coming by. I will take your literature, but no, I'm not going to tell you who I'm voting for. Specifically, a lot of Asian people
mm.
don't do that. It's mostly because they're from China
It's a
and China is communist and all of the things. And like, if you don't vote
they're
for dear leader,
no, but just as a culture, I find they're a lot more private
yeah,
on
they,
Well, and
mayors.
and most conservative voters will not tell you because they're not. I'm not saying paranoid, but I'm saying they're concerned about
Yeah,
backlash, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
so there's a lot of people like, whereas there's a lot of people that may have blue hair or other telltale signs that
which
will
is
happily,
weird that they adopt the colors of the party, but not the values.
yeah, but they'll tell you exactly how they're going to vote because anybody else that doesn't
Oh,
vote that way is Hitler.
they
So
tell you without even telling you. It's
yeah,
yeah. I actually had a really funny interaction on Monday. So we're out and like I said, like we're targeting supporters. So and I'm in like the nice neighborhood. Like these are like well over $1 million homes, like very nice neighborhood. There's a guy, big fucking corner lot, two giant signs on each like side of his lot. So
Yeah.
it's like this guy is a fucking supporter, right? Like big ass long U driveway that I'm walking up. The guy is in his driveway and he's like fiddle around with his barbecue or whatever, but he's not particularly tall, so like he can't see over it. So he's blocked. But like I come at him like from the side, so I'm not like,
Hey, like,
sneaking
yeah,
up on the guy, right?
yeah.
But he's also busy and it sounds like he's talking on the phone, so I don't want to just like interrupt the guy. But I walk up kind of politely. He finally notices me and he's like, "Hey, what's up?" I'm like, "Oh, hi, like I'm sorry to bother you, but like I'm here, reminding everybody on behalf of the candidate like today is election day and we'd really love you to get out and vote because every vote counts and like the spiel, right?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, that's really great, but like can you get off my property?" I'm like, "Okay."
Thank
technically
you.
not wrong. Yeah,
Yeah, technically not wrong. Okay, thanks, but like
I was
also
polite about it. I was like, "Okay, yeah, not a problem." And like, "I'm really sorry to bother you. Thank you for your time."
but
But then he just
if you
like keeps like, and it took everything in me to just not be like, "Why are you such an asshole, bud?"
like, and
Like
not just
I'm
that,
here and I
like,
have pamphlets with the fucking guy's face on it that you have his name on your lawn, and I'm trying to remind you to go out and vote. and you're telling me like quite rudely to get off your property, and that I
and
should
not
have
just,
announced myself. Like,
but not even just that. It's the fact that you ever want to use that statement again.
yeah, like
You
I
should
have a.
probably get out there
It's
and vote for
it's
change.
during the daytime. I am legally allowed to approach a person's front door and not be considered trespassing.
Yeah, like, and it's not like you've got
Yeah,
fucking
but it was
nods
just
or like attack, like
yeah, it was
nothing,
such
like
a weird
yeah,
interaction. I was just like, the only other one that I had close to it was somebody that was like quite obviously a liberal supporter
uh,
who like threw a flyer back in my face. But like that I expect, right? But this was just such a bizarre, like, yeah. So, anyways, yeah, if you could just get off my property right now, that'd be great. Like, okay,
all right, well, 2 years
like,
from now when no longer your property and
yeah,
everything,
Or he's
maybe you
housing
should rethink.
30. Yeah, he might be housing 30 illegal or 30 new Canadians in his
Yeah, yeah,
bedrooms.
yeah. They
yeah,
take that nice lawn he's got and they put some shacks up to
yeah,
accommodate for everything. Maybe, I mean, I doubt it, but hopefully he thinks back and been like, ah, I should
yeah. It'd
have
be a
rethought
real
that.
shame if you ever had a medical emergency and I had to respond to his property that I'm not allowed on.
Yeah.
Sorry, bud.
Yeah. Can you drag them to the road, please? I wouldn't
Yeah,
want to. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's I don't know, man. I'm just disappointed. Like I
yeah.
and like the problem said, and he's like, how did it, like, 3 months ago, weeks ago, the conservatives, according to the polls, which we all know polls are bullshit, but like we had it, and then everything changed, right? Turdo changed, the commie guy
It's
came in, and everything's good now, and then it swinged, and it's like and he even said, he's like, well, what did the conservatives do? Not so much shit talk and like drag his name through the mud, but I don't pay attention to the news. Like, I do the news
yeah.
articles we talk about on Mondays, and that's pretty much it.
That's
I
still
avoid
probably more
all,
news than the average person. So,
well, at least more useful news or
yeah,
truthful news, I should say, because we pick it apart and talk about it. But like, and I'm not saying that the conservatives should have played dirty and done anything. Like, I have issues with how all parties talk about everything. Like, it's almost like I'm
oh yeah,
better because I'm morally superior because of this and everything. And it's like, I wish there was a way that we could just take all that bullshit out and actually get out and get back to, like, I don't know, let's play clean. Like, hey, I stand different on his point of view, or his not point of view, what's the word I'm looking for? His political view or his standing on this certain criteria, and I think this, and I think the constituents would prefer this over, are you a dual citizen? Are you whatever? Are you well, he's conservative, so he doesn't care about women's rights and this and that and everything. And it's just like a lot of that needs to get out the door, and there needs to be more conversations, long
yeah.
form conversations, not so much the political discussions we have. Where I would prefer listening to a 2 to 3 hour podcast or interaction or interview from a non-bias, or at least not in your face bias, but someone that would pick apart and have conversations with where the party stands. So let's say liberal leaders, right? So for Carney, Pierre Polyev, Jagmeet, whoever the fuck the Green was, and all that, and Bloc Québécois, and like sit down and just be like, hey, what are your standings? What are you going to offer to Canadians on, and same set of questions for all the candidates, and everything be truthful, and then people can get, whether you want to support your local candidate that may look out for your best interests, but if they get a majority, may screw you in the end because you're one out of 200 votes, so it doesn't really matter. I wish
Well,
we could get to something like that.
I think the problem is giving sodium pentothal to politicians is probably illegal against their will,
because they're never going to tell you the truth right off the bat.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
only
that's
it's
problem
only
number one.
illegal if it gets proven that you administered it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I mean, it would be great if you could get them to actually tell the truth, but they won't. They all dance around the issues. They won't give you a straight answer on anything. I mean, the funny thing is, like when it comes to Slava Ukraini or anything else, there was almost like a unity party. Like you couldn't tell the politicians apart on a lot of their issues. That was part of the problem this election.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
and so that's problem number one. Problem number two. I mean, like, yeah, just changing the face of the Liberal Party the last minute to Carney versus Trudeau, which was the exact same thing, really, but that seemed to make all the difference to the people that were
Yeah.
easily
Or,
swayed.
or at least
Oh yeah, that was
from the
yeah. If you
polls'
guys
point
could
of view.
just look at this over here for 2
Yeah.
seconds.
But also, I mean, the
Yeah.
fact is, like, so I don't want to compare U.S. and Canadian politics that much, but let's face it, Orange Man, he
Yeah.
told it like it was. He didn't make
Yep.
a lot of friends, but by the same token, he got elected because he didn't. He just called a spade a spade. He
Yep.
knew who he was, and he didn't make apologies for it. Whereas Canadian politicians of every stripe
Yeah.
all try and
Yeah.
like please everybody all the time, and end up pleasing nobody. And the problem is he can't tell them apart anymore. So I think there needs to be a real change to the point where like conservatives lost 4 times in a row by trying to pander to every political group they can, including Ukrainians, South Asians, you name it. Like they'll cater to any group they can. Maybe
Yeah.
just for once, could we see a politician try and break that mold, whether it be O'Toole, Polyev, I mean, Shearer, anybody? Like just try and maybe make a stand and say, listen, I disagree with them
Yeah,
because.
but going against the dairy board is this thing that you just don't ever want to do.
But
You're
again-
you're gonna drink that fucking milk and you're gonna like it.
Has anybody tried it yet?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Like nobody's
Well,
actually-
I mean, Bernier, but he hasn't really ever like. It's
Nobody-
easy for him to make
okay, you won't trigger
wild.
me. Yeah, you won't trigger me easily, but mentioning that name will trigger me very
Yeah,
fast.
but like it's easy for him to make wild promises because he hasn't had to make good on any of them.
Exactly.
And so like and it's the same like when one of the greatest things about the Bloc and Blanchette is that like in the English language debate especially, he don't give no fucks about nothing.
No.
He can say what he wants because he's not worried about that vote.
No.
If anything, being a dick to those people gains him support back home because it's stick it to those English fucks. Like
And again, like he's calling a spade, and he's popular
Yeah.
because of it. I'm surprised he didn't get more seats. Now, on that note, can we just take a little sidebar for a second? You guys
Yeah.
know how I feel about it, but I mean, other than the the emotional rhetoric of the next few days or maybe the next month or whatever, do you honestly believe that either Quebec or Alberta will actually take any sort of separation movement seriously?
Quebec will not. Alberta, they put the plan forward as we had seen in the news article we were chit chatting about. Quebec is too dependent on Alberta government funds and subsidized and being able to be the dick of Canada and argue about everything for language and everything else that I don't think they're going to take any steps forward to try and do anything to separate other than just be in the middle and cause a ruckus enough for people to be like, that's my guy there. But they're going to accept everything from the federal government. They're going to accept all the subsidies, all the discounts. They're going to take everything from every other province and they're going to sit there and decide like, hey, we're going to worry about Quebec. We don't care about the other provinces, but they're not going to do anything. But I do think Alberta is going to at least attempt to and take a step back and look and say like, can we do this? And I hope they do. And it gives me hope.
There's a fantastic YouTube video out there that lays out the legal like steps to take for Alberta to go separatist, and it's actually not that hard. So they have to get like 600,000 signatures in the next 60 days. If they started a poll today, that is. But whenever they start the poll, they have 60 days to get 600,000 signatures. If they do, it forces a referendum in Alberta.
Yep.
To make a vote on it, which would be very interesting. So
Yep. And that was
I will have an
changed.
Alberta address by then. I'm just saying.
They've changed it where it's less than that, and they've extended it to 90 days.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, where was that news article?
So I'm
I mean,
moving
we
to
might as well-
Alberta.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm either moving to Alberta or US. I'm not gonna lie, like with how disappointed I am about everything. Which news article was it? I know it was somewhere. Yeah, it was Better Andrew sent it. Alberta overhauls election laws to allow corporate donations and change referendum threshold. So if you scroll down to the bottom of this article, son of a bitch. Someone put a quick note somewhere.
Yeah, I didn't read that one, but yeah.
No, so Bill 54 proposes lowering the signature threshold and extended signature collection period from 60 to 90 days. From recalls 90 to 100 days for citizens. I did see somewhere where it changed 60% for the whatever. I know there was a quick note. It might be on the Disc McCord. I think maybe. Damn it, I'll probably find it once we finish the fucking show.
Of course, that's usually how that goes. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, they did change it where they lowered the number and they extended the period.
Yeah.
Or at least the best of my memory at this point. But yeah, so fingers crossed. I see Alberta doing anything, but I don't see Quebec doing anything other than just the rah rah from the nosebleed section. Just keep pandering to the people so they keep voting for him, because that's a useless federal party in my opinion. They do nothing for anything. They don't even do anything for fucking Quebec.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens with this Alberta thing. I mean, there's a lot of interesting things that may come out of this, like with the NDP doing so poorly and their leader not even getting his seat. Like, if we go to the polls in 18 months, which is possible with a minority government.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, unless they have another fucking agreement, but if the party doesn't exist, what agreement do they have?
They just need
we'll see,
enough
right?
people to get. They just need enough people to get the majority. It doesn't matter if it's fucking two people from there, one conservative, and another few Bloc Québécois people that'll push a contract their way.
Yeah, I don't think anything's going to change, but
no.
According to the problem, it's the number is now 177,000 for the referendum.
Okay, and extension on time. I knew it was cut down by quite a bit. But yeah, I had seen a news article.
I did like is it Danielle Smith? That's her name, right?
Yeah.
Her letter. Like, congratulations to Carney. But anyway, so thank you to Pierre for like all of the hard work that he did and like representing Alberta and our resources and wanting us to like unleash our potential.
Well, and Blanchette turned right around and said, I'm going to work with the Liberals and no more pipelines. So, I mean, like, that's going to force an issue, too. Like, even she, as a Federalist, has to admit that she can't cut her own throat forever. So,
yeah. But, I mean, like, of course, Quebec, the most socialist province, is going to work with the second most socialist government.
Yeah, the libtards. Like, so, right there, they have enough seats to push whatever through.
As long as it's like, look, we continue to get the free stuff and make English half the size of French. Yes. And we'll prop you up.
Yeah.
Like, like the guy certainly raises some good points and will call people on their bullshit because it scores him points with his base. But at the end of the day,
but the only reason I'll even say
they're still a very socialist government, and it's like
and I won't even say he calls people's bullshit out. I'll just say he has a stance where most of his constituents have that same stance, and that's because they're big on they want to protect the French.
Yes, but I mean,
everything. But
even if they win every single seat in Quebec, that is not enough seats. At most, they will be the official opposition. They cannot get
at best.
Yeah, they cannot achieve a majority government or even a minority government unless we have like a bajillion fractured parties that like all get 5 votes or whatever, right? Like it's just not possible.
I think their goal was always to do what the NDP just did, which is
form a coalition,
be the prop. totally
support-
self-immolate and just like
but not just that, but like prop up the failing
Yeah.
government, right? I mean,
yeah.
that is probably has been their only goal with the threat
Hmm.
of, if you don't do what we ask, we're gonna separate. In reality, they're not gonna. But I mean,
No, but
But
give us
at that
give us more transfer payments. Give us like make French 3 times the size, not just 2 times the
Yeah.
size or whatever. Like,
Tabarnak.
But just there, trois.
yeah.
And right and not to get into news articles, but I don't even remember if
Yeah.
we talked about it. But there was an article. So Gatineau, which is if you've been to Ottawa, you can
Yeah.
get to Ottawa closer than, or sorry, you can get from Ottawa, like downtown Ottawa, where Parliament is. You can get to Gatineau walking faster than you can get driving to other places in Ottawa
Yeah.
because it's so close. So company, I think it was a cafe. So they got all their signs, right? French bigger than English and everything.
Well,
They are in court, last I heard, arguing. They got a fine because their Instagram page is English, not French.
fucking hate this country sometimes. It's just like
Like
So
right, it might be Facebook, Instagram, but it's a socialist media, right? And they're like, okay, but so we're in town, all our shit's French and English, but a lot of our population and a lot of government workers or whatever work like
Yeah.
a 6-minute walk across that bridge, and
yeah,
all
they
the
live
people
where
that
it's
follow
slightly
us,
cheaper. Yeah.
all the people that follow us there, like they did an analysis and they were like, yeah, 90, I think it was like 86% to 90% of the people that
Yeah.
follow them are all English. But yeah, so now the language police is giving them fines because their social media is not in French or at least bilingual. Right,
It's
so like-
it's not an official government form. It's not a fucking
Right,
sign on their
it's
building.
this, it's this,
It's
it's
a
this,
thing that
but
like
exists
it-
wherever you want it to exist, right?
it,
Like
it
exactly.
exists, but does it really? Because it's not a tangible thing. I can't hold their page in my hand.
as
Right,
Spain will tell you right now with their power outage that's been going on for a week plus,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
I mean, the funny thing is about Quebec versus Alberta. So I just posted the
Yeah.
local chat for the Patriot podcast. So if Alberta were independent, it'd have more land than 79% of all nations.
Yep.
It'd have more farmland than 91% of all nations, a larger
Yep.
GDP than 80% of all nations, and a larger population than 33% of all nations, and a higher GDP per capita than 97% of all nations. Can Quebec say the same?
No.
No. So
Quebec
honestly, I
has
think-
very good moose hunting
and
it's
maple
really
syrup.
close. Well, yeah, but there's also the whole cartel thing that we ended up on a Netflix series, and that's why nobody takes anybody Canada seriously.
Seriously,
But
but we're close to Greg there, so I mean that's good too. But
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
but
at the same time,
I will
though-
also go through the other state to go see Greg and not go
Yeah.
through that other country. So
But by the same time, so like I mean, honestly, I think of the two, one's certainly more likely than the other. But
Yeah.
it's gonna be very interesting the next 4 years to see how bad it gets before somebody actually gets critical mass on that, right?
Well, and that's the thing. It's like we know it's not going to get better. Like,
There's a high chance, yes, it's not gonna get better.
right, like I am 95% through Carney's book, Values.
oh, I don't have the guts to fucking do it,
I
buddy.
tip my
Well-
hat to you, sir.
Know your enemy and all that, right? Like,
Yeah.
it is terrible, but he spells it all out. Like, he makes it very clear that he is essentially willing to do whatever it takes to get to net zero, or anything that he feels is what's right for the population as a whole. So
Right.
he is for, like, I mean, he called for, the crackdown on all the people that were seditious and all of that in Ottawa for the protests. Like, so he wanted the banks to freeze the assets and all of the things to happen. He has no problem penalizing individuals or groups or the country as a whole in order to achieve the thing that him and the elites feel is
Yeah.
the right thing to do. So they feel that this climate change crisis is worth it in the end. So whatever we have to do to get to that end goal where the climate crisis is averted is worth it. So if people have to suffer to get there, it's worth it, because if we don't, we're going to suffer anyways. And it's like, but not even all scientists agree on this. But he's like,
No, I
fuck
mean-
it, we're going for it, and we're going full on. And like that's why like this carbon tax bullshit like is not going away. He's
No, it
hidden
was just brought down to zero.
temporarily to
It was just
win
brought
some.
down to zero.
Yeah.
Right?
But
Like,
even if they get rid of it, he's already said that it is coming back in some other form. So even if he symbolically like does a bill and officially obliterates the carbon tax, it'll be something else. Right? Just like he says, well, we have to have a carbon tax to do business in Europe, because if we don't have one, then they implement their own carbon tax. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, but who pays that one?
Yeah.
Europeans, not Canadians. If we implement one,
who pays
we
for it?
we pay it and Europeans pay it. So that doesn't sound like fuck
Yeah.
them and whatever they decide, that's their problem. But like we don't have to penalize ourselves to do business with them. We just need to make a good product for a good fair price, and then they can fuck around with that all they want.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're reading Confessions of an Economic Hitman from book club.
But from the other
years ago.
side, yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
from the other side, from the government, not
Yeah.
that person. Yeah, so yeah, it just
Oh,
I
it's
don't know, like
it is like do not read it. It is a terrible book. It is like 25 hours worth of just like verbal diarrhea.
25. Yeah, I don't know. I would read or at least listen to The Fall and Rise of the Third Reich. That is a
Yeah, at least
25-hour book.
it's at least
Yeah,
interesting.
like
yeah.
that's a part of history. Like it's interesting,
Yeah,
right? Like
this
yes,
is-
World War II
oh,
was a
God,
bad
it is-
thing, and there's bad things, but
It-
the whole mechanism and the psychology behind how all that went, like, is way more intriguing from what you're fucking talking.
He keeps talking about stuff that like just doesn't exist, like social capital.
So
Oh,
is
God.
the Audible book
Yeah.
though him reading it?
Yeah.
Oh god.
Oh god.
Has he not touched on the fact that like Canada's a net like carbon sink if you actually believe carbon was a bad thing? But
Well,
the
no,
same
he
with all
wouldn't
of our
admit
trees.
something that goes against what he's saying. And like there's so many things that like I can't pull any specific quotes out, but like he'll say a thing and you're like you're saying that, but that is totally contrary to what you're actually doing. Like
Yeah.
if someone had actually gone through his book, and I know people tried and they pulled out a few bits and pieces here and there, but like if they'd really had some time to go through it and analyze it and really pull out some great quotes, I think it would have hurt him a lot more, because I mean, and then I think that's why he also chose the shortest election time ever. Because like, if you look at his popularity when he first came in versus now, like he still won, but he definitely like, Liberal Party was like crashing and burning at its lowest. They put him in and it skyrockets to here because he's an unknown. But then over the 4 weeks or whatever of the election period, there was a decrease in popularity.
oh, 100%.
Like,
If this election had gone from the shortest amount allowed to the longest amount allowed, which only would have been another 2 weeks or something like that, I think the results would have been maybe just slightly flipped. Like I wouldn't call it like a conservative majority, but I think it would have been a conservative minority, because people would have just realized how unlikable this guy is and how terrible his policies are, and that he's just a big fucking hypocrite.
I mean, not that it's unusual, but usually a politician is lying when their mouth is moving. But he's just
Yeah.
more so than normal, it seems.
Yes.
Yeah.
His is even lying when it's not moving.
yeah, no, like I had a little bit of hope, and
I
Like,
did
last
too,
night-
but you
last
can't
night I
not,
went to bed. Like last night I went to bed very sad. I checked and I'm like, oh, minority liberal. And I went to bed and I was like, well, maybe I'll wake up to good news. And it was not good news. And then
Wow.
It didn't change during the day. So I bought a bottle and I came home. And I have a feeling I'm going to keep buying bottles and ammo and work on my drywall skills. And while I still have a house, because
That reminds
soon,
me, do you need any like PVC pipe or Mylar bags or Cosmoline or anything? Because we might need to do a group buy.
I mean,
Yeah,
midnight
yeah,
gardening is a thing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, like, yeah, so that's the thing. It's like, it, and I don't want to say like it's a surprise. I just want to say I was hopeful, right? Like I wasn't expecting a majority. I was not, but I was expecting at least the conservatives to be the minority. And even if it was
Yeah.
like a minority where they had to make like some shady deals with the NDP and a few Bloc Québécois people to like,
Yeah.
not, and I'll say shady deals and is in like something I don't necessarily want, but I'm like, I'm okay with parting for that to push through or make
Yeah.
legislation for something that
You
I
mean
agree with.
working
Like,
together like government
yeah,
should? Yeah.
yeah, like,
Weird.
hey, okay, I'm gonna scratch your back. You scratch mine, okay? This is what I want. What do you want? Oh, that's unreasonable. Can we come to an agreement? And it be to something that, most people would agree with and just kind of like even say,
Yeah.
like, well, I don't agree with it, but I understand why you did it at least because you were a minority and you had to make a, backdoor deal with someone. I was just hopeful and I, I just, I've lost faith in the Canadian humanity after this
Yeah.
election, like 100%. Like I'm like questioning everybody I see on the road now and like in stores, and I'm just like, you're the problem, not
Yeah.
the problem that's in the chat, like a different problem that we should take care of. But
In
allegedly,
Minecraft, the wonderful
allegedly,
movie by
yeah,
Jack Black. Yeah.
that's actually not a bad movie. So
I haven't
we
seen it, but yeah.
Oh, we sat down and watched it. The daughter was all excited, and everything's square in that one. So we made like homemade pizzas. So we had like square cheese, square pepperoni, square pizzas. Like
Nice.
everything was square. We made
Yeah.
homemade pizzas and watched it and everything. So
Solid,
it's
wholesome family entertainment right there.
yeah. I didn't
Yes.
understand the whole movie because I don't know Minecraft, but it was okay. I
Yeah.
I
for
had a
an,
few giggles.
for an autistic thespian, he's not bad.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know. Do you guys have anything else that you want to get off your chest about the election?
Well, other than moving tips, I mean,
Yeah.
where else do you really want to go? I mean, I guess like okay, so back well, I'm gonna say 4 years ago. I mean, Papa Andrew came out and said that the longest serving minority government in history was 26 months or 28 months. Well, if there's one thing Trudeau's good for is he broke that record, made it all the way to better
Yeah.
part of 4 years. Um, Thoughts on how long this one's gonna last? It's technically a minority government.
I guess we'll see. Like
Depends how many boobers die in the last
well,
month,
and
less than
how
what you just said.
Well, the
how
answer's not
rapid
enough, but
is the decline of like economic
Yeah,
fortitude and everything, right? Like if he starts implementing all of the things that he needs to do to get to net zero in the time frame that he wants to get to it. So like
yeah.
no more gas cars by 2035, increase in not just the consumer but industrial carbon taxes and all of the other things. Like if he starts doing that stuff, I mean, look at what his proposed budget was. Like the conservatives were running a deficit, which is always bad, but sometimes you got to spend money to make money, right?
Yeah,
It's okay to take a loss in a business every now and again if
yeah.
you're
But yeah,
you're
depends on
investing in that business and it's going to
yeah.
gain you more on the backside,
But
right?
yeah, we're gonna lose
But
this year, but next year we're we're
yeah,
gonna lose less, if not break even.
yeah,
That's
but
better than we're gonna lose, and we're gonna lose
they were
worse next
already
year.
yeah, they were already predicting like losses, and like every year those losses would get less. But the Liberals, their loss was way more. And anything that they cost. So they've already did their budget like before and they smashed that guardrail by like $20 billion, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
what are they going to do again? Like we're already predicting ridiculous losses. So you know it's going to be worse. Like if this is what they're telling you it's going to be worse. I
Yep.
you know, I don't necessarily disagree with the problem saying like expect it to go the full term because they've already proven that if they negotiate properly with the other shitty parties, they can do that. Because then it starts to become like at the beginning, it's like, oh, well, everything is a no confidence vote. And if you don't vote for it, we're going to have another election. And nobody wants to do that. And like the NDP
I
certainly won't want to do that because they don't have the fucking money to do that. They'll be like, if they had to go to an election again in any amount of time that's not 4 years, they're totally gone. Like,
Yeah.
it was already bad enough that he was riding around in a bus because he didn't have money for a fucking airplane, which is weird because you think all that OnlyFans money could have paid for something, but
You would think.
Or if he didn't have the
Yeah.
Maserati, maybe he
Yeah.
could have.
Or
but
the
with
watches.
like, yeah, but with 7 people total in their party, who the fuck is going to support that shit? Like, nobody.
Yeah.
They're
No.
fucked if they have to
And-
go to an election anytime soon.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean,
And if they do, then
it's-
like we officially become a 2-party system.
100%. NDB, I mean, unless they come up with something new and they, you know,
Yeah.
they flat their gums good enough for whatever needs to happen to get more seats.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people supported NDP last election, which fine, I'll disagree, but like you vote how you want, and they shit the bed, obviously, and their constituents voted and said, "You're the fuck out, bro. You shit the bed."
Yeah. I
And
don't know. Maybe they merge with fucking Dizzy Lizzy and then they'll have 8 seats.
Yeah.
But their bar bills will be like off the fucking chain. Like,
Can you imagine Lizzie's bar bill at this point?
I mean, it's got to be up there with fucking Blair's.
Oh,
it's probably way more than mine because I got to pay for my own,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Bet the two of those, like anytime there's anything, they go shot for shot.
oh, wow. That's a lot of damaged livers.
Yeah.
good thing they can probably get a free liver.
Well, thanks to our socialized healthcare.
Mm.
And the traffic.
We are not going
Yeah.
down that rabbit hole at this time.
Yeah.
That's for another night.
And I bet they get fast track too.
Yes.
Or if they can't, then they just use our taxpayer dollars to go south of the border and pay for it there. But you know,
Yeah,
whatever.
south of the border or China or Harvest
Yeah.
somewhere, and from a jail cell.
I hear like Korea is a wonderful place to go for stuff like that because the prices are reasonable.
Korea, China, most communist countries. Yeah. They have organ
Yeah.
harvesting from jails.
Oh, but not even that. Just like legit getting stuff done. Like guy that works for me that's from like Belarus or whatever. When he went back to visit the last time, he had like I don't know 5 or 6 like minor medical procedures done like over the span of 2 days, like laser correction and this and this and this and this and this, because like it's dirt cheap over there compared to here.
And probably due to benefits, was able to cover some of it.
No, our
No?
benefits don't cover stuff out of the country.
Ooh,
But
okay.
even with benefits, like
Yeah,
not
even
like
without
not
benefits was worth it.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
speaks volumes. Yeah.
And the fact that like I guess their safety things are like here if you were to try to do that, you're like, whoa, like your body needs to heal, bro. You can do like 1 of these a week. They're just like
At best.
yeah.
Come on,
Give-
comrade, sit down.
yeah,
and do all 5 at once.
give money, yeah.
Yeah, give money. Okay, so we're gonna knock you out for 2 hours. We'll do as much as we can.
Yeah.
We'll wake you up, make sure everything's good, and then we'll knock you out and finish off the rest.
And
Like,
throw in a free boob job.
Yeah.
You want a Brazilian butt lift? No problem.
Yeah.
We'll have the table with where your butt's out. We'll do the boob job and the butt job at the same time. Why not?
Yeah,
Right?
pretty much, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Anyone got any other hot
No,
takes on election stuff?
No,
I'm
I think
just-
we're good.
Uh,
All
No.
right. Well, let's close it out on that one then. Ian, where can people find you when you're not here complaining about the government?
Well, I guess occasionally I'm on Canadian Prepper podcast Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern
yes.
on YouTube. You can see us on the Discord chat as well. You can email me directly at the islandretreat@gmail.com. And that's pretty much it. Anybody have any hot tips on moving from here to
Yeah.
Alberta? Let me
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah, if anyone wants to sponsor us, adopt
Yeah.
us,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm
Hey,
open
We'll
to like
send feet pics, not too proud. Yeah.
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 I mean, if somebody has like sister wives or husbands down in Utah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm into that too. I mean,
Bro,
Yeah.
if you can get me to Alberta in the next week, I'll send you a picture of my fucking taint.
There you go. You
Like-
heard it,
like,
folks.
fuck-
Feedback,
fuck-
a Canadian
Yeah.
Patriot
or he
podcast.
won't. Just as a bonus, he won't.
Like just whichever. Like if you can get me there way faster, fuck. What do you want to see?
Yeah, but also Alberta, get on it and start fucking separating.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pierre, when you're not here, where can people buy like a Fuck Carney t-shirt or anything along those lines?
Oh, so you can find me or my beautiful significant other off the wall customizing at Gmail, t-shirts, laser engraving, most stuffs like that. Or you can find me when Ian does decide to show up on Sunday nights
That's fair.
for Canadian Prepper podcast as well on YouTube, Bookface. I am on the Discord. You have to find me. I keep an eye on it, but I don't do much on it. And that's it because I don't trust the internet for a lot of things anymore, specifically after the last results we got.
All right. Well, you can find me personally on Instagram, UrbexGTA, but also if you've listened to the show this long, you deserve a discount. So visit RagnarokTactical.ca and use the code Patriot at checkout to pick up some medical supplies that may or may not come in handy in the near future when our country is not just morally bankrupt, but also fiscally and everything else. And you've got to fend for yourself and look after yourself and do all of the things. Tune into the other podcasts that we've mentioned a couple times, Prepper Podcasts, to learn how to do all of that stuff. And I guess we are here on air. It would have been nice if this was a victory episode where we're like, we're done. We're never doing this again. But I guess we will be here for at least the next 18 months, if not the next 4 years.
Ironically enough, yeah, we started this when Trudeau was like before my time, I guess, when Trudeau was elected,
Yep.
and we haven't really run out of reasons to keep doing it.
Yeah.
No,
I was
and
really
that's-
like, not that I don't love doing this.
Yeah, but you're also banking that if the Conservatives
But-
did win, there would be no reason to have these conversations about
Or
government scrutiny.
or we could start like having a format change and trying to do some other things, but I don't
We
know.
paused that for once, yeah.
I don't know. I think I talked about it before, but like we went and saw Peterson and he did a whole spiel, and like one of the things he did was talked about like Jonah and the whale and how like
Yeah,
you know, whether you're religious or not, that whole like if you're compelled to say something, you should say something, because if you don't, like you will be swallowed up by the guilt.
Yeah.
That's what that story is
Yeah.
about, at least in part.
yeah,
Yeah. For those of you that are not religious scholars, that resonated with me.
yeah.
And I was like, I'm already outspoken enough. So
But apparently you have to do more.
Fuck all of them. Yeah. I have a lot more to say because there's a lot of things that irk me and anger me and everything, and this podcast
Yeah.
helps me get that out.
Yep.
So sorry for all of our listeners that has to deal with all that, but also, yeah, we're gonna be on the air at least as long as those fuckheads are still in power. Apologies to Rod. Rod couldn't make it on the show. He was commiserating and just was not in great shape because yes, come October, armed agents of the state will be knocking on doors, confiscating our legally acquired property that we have been in peaceful possession of for decades. So that's going to be fun when that finally happens.
Tune in in a few weeks
Yeah.
when we have that discussion.
Yeah, everybody live stream that if and when that happens, because that will
Yep.
be fun. But I'd like to remind everybody that you are a small fringe minority with unacceptable views.